Fireside Chat with Nick Sostak, the Million Card Man, Part 2. Welcome to episode number I don't know yet for The Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson. I am your host, Zenny Cards, and thank you for joining me from wherever you are listening to this. The reason I do not know the episode number yet is because I have multiple irons on the stove and multiple guests booked, more than I thought I was going to do when I originally planned out this limited podcast series, which was about 12 chapters. And I was thinking like maybe one or two guests for each aspect of the hobby. What I did not anticipate was how willing people are in the hobby to talk about their journey. And initially, I'll admit I was flattered and I thought it was me. But then I realized, these folks, they don't know me at all other than from my Instagram profile. So it's not that I'm nice, although I like to think my approach is nice, but it's that they're nice. And that people, they just love talking about themselves. I mean, I'm just kidding. People in the hobby, they want to share, and it makes total sense because the people I have on, they're content creators, and uh, that's not by design, but it's that's how I find people is on Instagram. And when you are creating content and you're sharing yourself out in social media, that's exactly what you're doing. I mean, some people can just share the cards and have no audio and no video, but uh, a good amount of folks, they share their face, their opinions, and quite frankly, their lives in and out of the hobby. So before I do a brief intro for my guest today, and I'm also actually recording tomorrow as well, I wanted to say, wow, I'm so tired today. Today is a Sunday. It is, I guess, again, evergreen content, but in the moment in the hobby, it's June 11th, 2023. Okay, so I am tired, but it's not hobby related at all. I'm just physically beat with having a 4 mile hike this morning with my kids for scouts. I ended up mowing the lawn. I unexpectedly ended up power washing some furniture, which is just so satisfying. And I'll admit, I really wanted to share it on. I wanted to share it on Instagram, but I realized it really has nothing to do with cards at all, and I have no other social media presence other than really for my hobby Instagram. So I thought about using the power washer on a slab to crack it, but then I realized I shouldn't push it. uh, Cleaning up plastic would be, would not be very fun. My wife supports me in the hobby, even the podcast and just everything. And I realized I want to keep it that way. For example, I also wanted to run a slab over with our minivan because I saw it done by other people, including Rick Probstein on Instagram. But again, love my wife, and I realized I shouldn't do that. Not that she's going to listen to this, though. So, um, I feel like this hobby time in the evening is my way to relax. But these interviews, they're not like relaxing. I mean, especially so early on, it's not easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It's it can be, not stressful either. But like I have to be alert and I have to be like mentally just ready. But I get to talk shop with some good hobby folks, and I get to learn and I get to ask questions that I might not normally get to ask. So, having said that, with today's guest, when I think about being tired, I mean, wow, this guy, Nick Stosak, previously his Instagram handle was Stack and Sell, um, StakNSELL, and now it's Stack and Sports, STAKN, and then Sports on Instagram. I mean, I was tired from just that stuff. I mean, this guy, he bought a million card collection. That's how I got to know him on Instagram. I think this was like in February, so that's like about 4 months ago. I don't know if he would say that's his claim to fame. I'll try to remember to ask that. I'm going to record with him actually in like 30 minutes. So I'm just kind of doing this intro real quick. I think that's how the timeline's going to go. Who knows? Could have like last second cancellations. But I have no clue how old he is. I don't really know much about him other than his, forward facing persona on Instagram, which I really like his style. He seems kind of like, I don't know if it makes sense, but like, I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know if he would agree with it. But like, kind of like being an old soul in a young in a young mind or hobby body. What I say, hobby body. Um, but yeah, I kind of ran out of time to prepare for this again with all the things that happened this weekend. I wanted to watch his interview with Roland with FD and another podcast he was on, but I mean, no one wants to listen to hour-long interviews, right? Just kidding. If you listen to my first two guests, they definitely went over an hour. I know I tend to go long, but hey, I mean, podcasts they're supposed to be long form, right? Or at least I think so. So, okay, having said that, I'm gonna end this intro here now. And if this does go long and I cut it into two parts, maybe I'll do a brief intro for the next episode. But having said all that, I really look forward to this chat with Nick. So some musical play, and then I'll do another intro so that I warm up with my guest, and then we're gonna head right into it. So see you in like, I don't know, 8 seconds. Okay, pressed record. All right, just like you said, Nick, let's get right into it. All right, we are recording. Welcome to the Card Diary with Hobbyist Thompson. I am your host, Denny Cards, and thank you for tuning in because today we have a special guest, someone who I have nicknamed in my mind as the Card Millionaire. Also, I thought about the nickname the Card Dog Millionaire, like Slumdog Millionaire. I've also thought about the Million Card Man, like $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. And his actual name is Nick Sostak, who just 4 months ago made some hobby Instagram waves by documenting his purchase of 1 million cards. And a few weeks ago, I saw on Instagram that his journey with those cards may have come to an end. And I thought, if I want an expert to talk about buying and selling 1 million cards, who better than the man himself, Nick Sostak? So, welcome to the show, Nick.
Thank you so much for having me on. Really, really do appreciate it. Looking forward to get into how I got rid of the 1 million cards, how I acquired the 1 million cards, anything else that we're going to talk about hobby-wise, personal life-wise. I'm an open book today, and
Yes.
I'm really happy to be on. I think that this podcast has a lot of growth. Like I said beforehand, I think you give a different perspective than a lot of other people in the hobby, and I'm excited to get into this.
Awesome. Well, everyone's got a price for the 1 million card man. So the rapid fire to warm you up. I have some tags or hats or labels, and you just tell me yes or no, and then we can get into it a little bit more. So, collector,
Yes.
eBay seller,
Yes.
content creator,
100%. Yes.
breaker,
No.
Instagrammer,
Yes.
whatnot seller.
No.
Mm.
No,
Custom,
not anymore.
not anymore. Okay, got it. Custom card artist.
No. My art skills are not there.
Gotcha. I'm gonna make some content about that later, and in a future episode we'll be talking about that. So can I ask you? And I had the opportunity to talk to you for about a few minutes before we press record, and I asked you, like I was like, I can't wait to talk to you, and I said you are definitely the youngest guest I have. I mean, I've only had two other guests before this, but I didn't want to ask you off camera because I wanted to give a genuine reaction. So how old are you?
So I just turned 22 this January. I recently, last year when I was 21, I moved out. My dad decided to move in with his fiance, and I had the choice to either move in with them or go get my own place. And as I've learned in that year, it's not an easy process living by yourself, paying rent every month, making dinner every night, making breakfast, having bills to pay, cell phone, car insurance, gas, all that stuff. There's a lot of things that add up. But I'm very, very blessed and grateful to go through this right now. I mean, like, I know that right now, like, I'm struggling sometimes money wise. There's months that
Mm,
it's a little tighter than others, but
mm,
I'm really, really grateful for going through this experience because I think that in the long run, me starting off now, I kind of know finances a little bit better than some of my friends that may move out when they're 25, 26, 27. and I think I'm a little bit ahead of the game in that way.
So you're 22, you live by yourself, and cards is your full-time business. Like
Yes.
that is your livelihood.
Yes, cards is what I do full time. I'm making a little bit of money, content wise. Hopefully, we'll make a lot more money in the future for that. I'm really
Hmm.
pushing content this summer. I'm going very very hard in that. But yes, cards is how I'm making money full time right now.
I noticed when you said the meals you have to make, you mentioned breakfast and dinner, but no lunch. Is that intentional? Are you like I can't have lunch or?
I'm a lunch guy, but I'm a snack lunch guy. I'm a
Oh yeah.
I like to make a nice cucumber salad for lunch
There you
or
go.
snack on some hummus. I've gotten a lot more I've tried to get a lot more healthier in the last year, but at the same time, like my breakfasts are basic. I'll have 2 pieces of toast, my coffee, and then at night I'll have chicken and rice or some sort of protein, rice, vegetable. Try to keep it simple, try to keep it easy. I call myself the air fryer master. I'm
Mm.
really, really good with that thing. So yeah, I try to keep things simple, but still get my good meals in.
Yeah, let's just not talk about cards. Let's just talk about food. No, as an aside, I do have a question for you down the road that I'm going to tease now, which is I remember I really enjoy your content, and one of the things I notice is that are you asked a question to the viewer or the listener, which was, are you card fat? And then you just kind of mentioned what that was, and so I'll definitely talk about that in a bit because I want to get into this collection first. But before we get into that, I did want to ask you, so what area of the country do you live in?
I am 10 minutes outside of the city of Chicago
Hmm.
in a town called LaGrange.
Okay.
Um, I used to live in Downers Grove. I went to Downers Grove South High School. I don't mind mentioning all this stuff because I'm like, I put my whole life out there. I really don't
Okay.
care if
Yeah.
people know where I mean, I would prefer if people don't show up at my doorstep,
Yeah,
but
no street addresses. Yeah,
my
please.
my, I don't really care if people know, "Hey, this is where I went to school." It was kinda weird.
Mhm.
Yesterday, I'm at a show. This guy shows me a video. It's of me at Walmart, and one of his buddies put in, like, his Snapchat group chat, "I saw a Stack and Sell at Walmart today." I'm like, "Well, that's kinda weird. I wish you woulda just came up to me," but I guess people know where I live, and I'm cool with that too, so
Local celebrity. So if you're close to Chicago, that means you're definitely going to national. I mean,
Oh,
that's just
yes, 100%.
yeah. And you're gonna have me over, right? You're gonna make me chicken and rice, and I'm gonna like sleep in one of the. No, I do
That
have an
that couch is calling
Airbnb.
your name right
Yeah,
now.
thank you. Yeah, we didn't talk about that beforehand, but no, I booked my ticket to national last week. I have a Airbnb. I'm staying with adult friends. When I say I don't know, why I say adult friends, but that was weird. But no, I appreciate you saying that I could crash on your couch. But no, I look forward to meeting you in national and a bunch of other folks. It's just going to be such a party, and it won't be my first. I went in 2012. That was my first one, and then I haven't been to one since. So I guess in a way it is like my first because one 11 years ago maybe doesn't count. So you're in the Chicago area, you're 22, you do cards full time. Can Before we get into the collection, can I ask you what type of sports or non-sports cards do you collect or transact in?
So, my collection wise is anything Chicago wise.
Hmm.
I like the Sox. The Sox are my main team. The Bulls kind of Blackhawks and Bears are
Hmm.
my main ones, and then anybody that I've met celebrity wise or athlete wise in real life.
Hmm.
So I've had a really really positive interaction with Melvin Gordon, so I collect some of his stuff.
Hmm.
I've got a very close family friend, Dan Feeney, who plays for the Miami Dolphins, so I try to pick up any of his autos whenever I see him. And I'm still trying to do his contenders auto. So if you have the out of 25 or out of 23 cracked ice, let me know. I'm looking for that.
Okay.
And
Put that out into
yeah,
the world. Yep.
yeah, mainly just anything that I find cool. Also, like if I see like I saw the Batman movie last year, I picked up some Batman cards because I'm like, yeah, it's cool. So anything that catches my eye, honestly.
All right, I just got to ask you, your favorite Batman, the best Batman in your opinion.
Ooh. I like the one when I know this is very, very vague when he's like crawling out of that the bottom. when he's
Oh
trapped.
yeah, yeah,
What's that?
yeah.
When it
It
not
was
the
like
is
the
that the
well.
gulag? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, no, he Bane put him in there with I mean, it was the Dark Knight Rises, I guess, and like all the guys are they're happy for him. He's like jumping out of there with a rope and he's like, climbing out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
And then
that
Bane's at, like, Heinz Field, and he, like, tears that thing down, I think, or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
Heinz Ward is like running through. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, that was actually real. That was a documentary. Actually, that wasn't like special effects. That
oh,
was
wow.
straight up earthquake. He just like no, I'm just kidding. No, but when I said best Batman, like I was thinking like who is Christian Bale your favorite? Is it Michael Keaton? Is it Ben
I don't
Affleck?
I'm not a big, actor fan. I don't
Okay,
really care.
Dark
I'm
Knight
not a guy
Rises.
that, like, rushes to the box office. I'm not a
Got
big
it.
movie guy. I'll see a
Got it.
movie every occasionally. I'm a big documentary guy, honestly. I've got one more episode left of the Conor McGregor documentary, so I kinda like watching
mm,
stuff like that. I like, Last Chance U was my favorite show that was on Netflix of all time.
mm.
Any sort of documentary sports wise, I'm usually watching.
So you collect UFC too, then? Chicago
Yes.
Sox. I know. There's big differences between White Sox and Cubs for the Chicago area, like South Side and all that. So
Yeah.
Sox, Bulls, Bears, Beats, Battlestar Galactica. That's an office joke, by the way. Sorry. UFC. Okay, sounds good. That's cool. So, um, I have you on here today. The claim to fame, for you, at least in my opinion, from the way I found you was I was scrolling through my Instagram feed like I do every day, and it just stopped me, like just you in a U-Haul truck, and it's like I bought a million cards, and I'm like, what? Like I'm like, what are you talking about? So, I liked it, and then I was like, engaging with the post, and like you were just like answering back to people and being really nice. And um, I just wanted to ask you, actually, all right, hold on. I did say I was going to ask I've been putting up these chat GPT questions for my guests and then I never end up reading them. So here's the question I asked chat GPT. Maybe I should call it chat GPT, like CHAD. All right. So I asked Chad GPT, would you advise buying a million card collection? Chat GPT said, as an AI, I don't possess personal opinions or financial expertise. However, buying a million card collection is a significant investment, and whether it's advisable depends on several factors. Consider the condition, rarity, and market demand of the cards, as well as your own interest in collecting or potential resale value. It's generally a good idea to research and consult with experts in the field to make an informed decision. So, I guess my question to you is, Nick, did you consult with an expert in the field before making an informed decision?
I really didn't. I kind of so it's we'll go kind of all in on this. So basically, how it got reached out to me, and a subscriber of the channel reached out,
Hmm.
said that he just had picked up this collection from a guy in Dallas. He had never sold a card ever before on eBay. Didn't really know what he was getting himself into. He purchased the collection because he had bought a card on eBay. He had messaged the seller after like 4 or 5 days gone by, and he's like, "Hey, like, do you plan on shipping this item?" Gets a message back, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I have no idea where this card is. My husband suddenly passed away this week. He owned a card shop in the 90s. He's got all this stuff labeled, but I don't know where your card is. I like plan on closing the store down." Reached back out to get more information, finds out that she wants to sell it. He buys it off her. He's like, "Oh, this is going to be a fun time, cool time." Drives from Michigan all the way down to Dallas, picks up the collection, loads it into a U-Haul, brings it home. Gets it home, unloads it with his kids, and his wife is like, "What did you buy? Our whole garage is filled. Our whole basement is filled with cards." And she was like not very happy with it. And then he emailed me and reached out like, "Hey, like my wife's not happy. I want to get rid of this." I kind of thought that it was like kind of trolling at first.
Hmm.
And then he sends me some pictures. I'm like, "All right, like maybe we'll go and see it." So me and my friend Mitchell, we went out, drove out there, didn't expect to even buy it. I thought that he was maybe just going to sell us a couple boxes,
Hmm.
and we agreed on a price, took some of it home, came back another day, loaded up all in a U-Haul, started at 7 a.m. and got everything unloaded by 8 p.m. that night.
Wow, 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Yes. And the Michigan drive was
Ooh.
about 2 hours each way. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So before I hit record, I asked you, like the more details, the better. Podcast, long form. I said, you know, paint us the word picture like you're Bob Ross. Get into those little trees if you want. Tell us about how you found this collection. Great details in there. Definitely sounded a little sus in the beginning with I can't find the card and my husband passed away. Like as we know, eBay sellers and buyers come up with the craziest excuses, especially involving like kids or pets or family members, like pressing bid or opening up their phones with face IDs. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just wild. So can I ask you? I really want to dive into this first with the buying and then with the selling. So that first shipment or that first batch that you picked up, like what did you find in there? Low end, high end, mid ends? Just kind of help us understand what you grabbed.
Yeah, so the first boxes that we brought home, to paint the picture, like, we were driving a Lexus RX 350, so we didn't fit that many boxes in there.
I love
I'd
it.
probably say roughly 10, probably like 15, 24, 5 rows, and
Mhm.
then like 2 or 3, 2 rows.
Mhm.
There was 3 2 rows full of slabs,
Mhm.
some 5 rows full of patches and
Mhm.
autos, and the first process was just getting rid of all those slabs. So I ended up churning off all those slabs. Some of them I was like, okay, these go on eBay. These
Mhm.
I could sell to a guy that I know does whatnot. And this was at the
Mhm.
time when I'm like, all right, I'm done with whatnot because
Mhm.
I'm like, I just bought this massive collection. We can go into more detail about this with the live auction
Yeah,
platforms, but
with
it's
the
just a
selling part.
lot of it's a lot of time and it's a lot
Yeah.
of work. And if I'm going
Yeah.
to be doing this collection, I can't be doing both.
Absolutely.
So the most expensive stuff I was finding, triple autos of from triple threads,
Mhm.
David Wright, Pedro Martinez, and Zach Wheeler. There's
Mm.
like some really really cool triple thread stuff. I ended up getting rid of. I think the most expensive card we found, I want to say Travis Kelsey numbered rookie. It was pretty low numbered. We got a couple $100 for that.
Mhm.
There wasn't much that it was like, whoa, we just got $1,000 on that. But
Okay.
there was like, we go through a box and we found a whole row of Aaron Donald Topps Chrome rookies, which is
Mm.
like 400 of them. And if those are $5 a piece, that's 2 grand right there. So that
Got
it
it.
wasn't so much like, ooh, I got a big piece of card that goes for 2 grand right here,
Mhm.
but there was the
Mhm.
quantity and of
Yeah.
guys that I'm like, okay, these sell really well. We can get rid of these pretty easily.
Yeah. So you mentioned some baseball players, a football player. As the basketball guy, I do have to ask any basketball, soccer, UFC, things you collect, non-sports cards. What about
Yeah,
those?
there was some like I've actually got like one little pile that I have to list tonight that I forgot was even on a box, but like found some like Game of Thrones kind of stuff.
Game of
That's
Thrones.
non-sport stuff.
Mhm.
Uh Basketball wise, found some 86, 87 Fleer. None of the big names. I mean,
Mhm.
we sold a couple Magic Johnsons from 86 Fleer,
Mhm.
sold some Kareems, graded some stuff. A lot of the money was
Mhm.
made in the grading of the cards because some of them were in pretty good condition. The guy just, it seemed like he didn't do much grading.
Mhm.
So getting those, I'm trying to think of a rookie. There was no Giannis's, unfortunately, but
Mm.
I'm trying to think of some like big basketball guys that came on late. I'm mainly thinking of the football guys because there was tons of Kelseys,
Got
tons
it.
of Darnolds or Donald.
Donald, yeah.
Yeah.
Sam
And
Darnold, not as good as Aaron Donald.
yeah, so there was a bunch of like guys that were late risers
Yeah.
that was probably put in a box, and the guy probably ripped tons and tons of Bowman Chrome, Topps Chrome back in the day. And was
Mm.
like, I don't, this guy's not hot right now, and now he's hot today.
Yeah, so, I gotta ask about the condition of the cards because, I wrote down in my notes here that, I'm gonna talk about this in a future episode, but King of Collectibles, the Golden Touch, Netflix, Ken Golden, all that. So I remember this one collection in King of Collectibles. There's like 4 million cards. I don't know. Have you seen the show?
I have not.
Okay, gotcha.
It's
Um,
the one with golden, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Ken
yeah, yeah.
Golden and the Golden Empire. So I mean, 4 million cards. I mean, that's 3 million more than that you procured. But the first thing when I saw it, because they were all up in this guy's attic, and they were trying to figure out, like how to, how much of this does he want to eventually sell and consign. So when I see cards in an attic, I immediately think of humidity and humidity damage and worry. I think that maybe that attic, I think maybe I was kind of like pausing the video and rewinding because I was like, wait a minute, is that like ventilated? Is that air conditioned or like, HVAC connected? Those are things that go through your mind, right? Now that I'm in cards, like before I would like not care, but now I'm like, wait, humidity. Let me think about that. So because let me just share that as someone who did stash his old collections in attics, I thought that my cards were in perfect condition. Corners, centering, surface, everything looked good. And then I would submit to PSA, and then I would get nines. And we all know about like Michael Jordan pop control PSA, whether that's conspiracy or not, who knows? But I would get these cards back as nines, and I'm like, why? Why is that the case? They look perfect. Everything looks perfect about these cards. They should be gem. And I thought, maybe the edges with humidity, like curling up just enough where the edges got maybe dinged. I thought that's got to be the only reason because everything else looked so good with these cards. So the condition of these cards, when you have 4 or 5 row, the BCWs or the white boxes, they were all penny sleeved. Were they all in good condition?
So there was some stuff that was penny sleeved, but you gotta like the main thing is this guy had, to put it in perspective, tons of 2012 to 2018 Bowman and
Mm,
Bowman Chrome of baseball,
mm-hmm,
and this the sleeved or top loaded stuff was
mm-hmm.
mainly of players that were good at that time. So Gordon Beckham was the top prospect coming out in I think 2010 Bowman Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
Who turned out to be the best? Mike Trout. So
Mm,
I didn't find Mike Trout in there, but you got to think, all right, back in the day, Jameis Winston stuff was crazy expensive. Marcus Mariota was crazy expensive. So that stuff we would find in a top loader, and then you'd find unsleeved of big name guys that it's like, well, why is this not sleeved? Well, and then I would think to myself, well, back in the day, this was nothing. But
yeah.
thankfully, he didn't beat. He kept very good care of his stuff,
Uh-huh.
and he had everything organized in a. We didn't end up finding the spreadsheet, unfortunately, but
Mm,
every box had a name.
mm-hmm.
Every card had a. If it was on eBay, this is what I think that he was doing. It had a serial number on, like a stickered serial number on the card. So he
Mm,
would pick up the card and he'd be like, okay, this is S1923. This is
mm-hmm.
going to this seller. That's what the biggest sellers kind of have to do on eBay because they
Mm-hmm.
have to have it organized.
I'm so glad you said that because that was going to be my next question. How was it all organized? I mean, there's so many ways to organize, and you see these value bins at shows where it's I mean, the simplest one is to sort it by sport, and then it's like, well, do you go by team? Do you go by player? I've actually had that discussion with other dealers when I would set up shop in like a local card show. People are like, hey, I was thinking about moving some cards around, and it's almost like we're all just finding reasons to flip through our cards. Like we're trying to figure out like why is this not selling? Is it because people can't find their Hornets or their Lamella balls or Lonzo balls? Like should I go by player name and all this stuff? So it's really interesting that that yeah the serial numbered or the organization is so important for the seller, and for 1 million cards it's got to be 1,000 times more important than someone who has like 100. I don't even know if the math works on that. But so did you reserialize number things or did you keep it the way that he had it?
I kept it the way that he had it. The stuff that went on eBay, the way that I sort my eBay boxes, I will sort it by sport.
Mm-hmm.
By the front of my boxes are all sorted by autos and patches, and the back are sorted by rookies and serial numbered of non-rookies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the way that I sort it in two row, 3 row, or 4 row boxes, depending on how much I have of that particular sport.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when I was dealing with his collection, it was a lot of reorganizing. Okay, pull this out. This needs to go on eBay. Making just stacks of cards that'll go on eBay. Making stacks of, okay, this is what's going to come to the show.
Mm-hmm.
These are probably $3 cards. We could list them, but how much is my time worth? Is it worth listing a $3 card on eBay if
Mm.
we've got all this other stuff that we got to go through? Or is it just, let's throw it in the dollar bin, let someone else make money on it? They're
Yeah.
happy because they made some money. We're happy because we got rid of the card. And
Right.
we're also happy because you're going to come back to my table the next time because you got something good.
Right. Right. So that long-term relationship, not just viewing it as a one-time transactional thing, but more of like building a relationship.
Oh, that's, I mean, when I first got started in the hobby, in 20, my first show I want to say was like 2013, 2012.
So when you were in diapers, basically, I mean,
Yeah.
this is like nuts, but
when I was
yes.
when I was 10, 11,
Oh my.
I
Yeah.
remember just like I was thinking that these transactions was like I buy this card off someone and I never see him again,
Yeah.
and like, ooh, I got a really good deal, like maybe I fleeced him on this, like I don't ever have to see him again. But now, like, I'm a show goer. I go to shows every weekend, 2 times a weekend. Sometimes if there's a Friday show, 3 times a weekend. The
Mm.
relationships are everything that you
Mm-hmm.
have. You
Mm-hmm.
you break a relationship, you can break relationships with 5, 6, 7, 8 people because that person that you broke the relationship tells those 8 people, and it's over.
Yeah.
So relationships are everything in this industry. I've learned it's a lot of relationships in every business, but this industry, it's so much more just because it's such a tight-knit industry, and it's not hard for something to get around the room and people to hear something, and then it
Mm-hmm.
gets over to the other side of the room and they hear it too.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. So I definitely want to talk about setting up as a dealer, but when it comes to selling this collection, um, we talked about you mentioned that you were on Whatnot and then you got off that. So eBay, Whatnot, selling at shows, right? So how much
Yes.
of each would you say this collection went towards selling? Because I guess we've transitioned from the buying part to the selling part. But could you
Yeah.
talk about, like, if the million cards is like a pie, or like 100%, how much percentage is those three and other avenues that I haven't even mentioned?
Yeah, so I would probably put 30% into dealing with local shops,
Mm-hmm.
because not a large portion, but I'd say 35% of the money that we made back was just in supplies, because this guy
Mm-hmm.
had top loaders, sleeves, one touches,
Mm-hmm.
bubble mailers, all this
Mm,
stuff just built up, and there was tons of it. And like, I probably could have kept it and used it over time, but
mm-hmm.
I'm looking to make my money as fast as possible, and
Right.
I'm not looking for a long dime. I'm looking for a quick nickel. I'm looking to make my money as quick as
Oh,
possible. So
that's a flip.
what I was doing was I would take supplies,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, a shop is always going to be able to sell top loaders, always going to be able to sell sleeves. I could sell it to them, and they would probably buy it at 70% of whatever they're buying it from their dealer net or wherever they're getting their stuff from.
Mm-hmm.
But me, what I would do, I would trade it. So I'd be like, okay, we've got $2,000 worth of cards right here. What are
Mm,
like $2,000 cards that I can get if that's a Jackie Robinson, if that's a Willie Mays, if that's a hot quarterback right now? What can I
mm-hmm.
get that I could flip and make $1,700 on the two if I want to flip them at 85, 90% quickly, compared to taking that 70% cash from you? Like, are you okay with that? And most shops are, because they're like, well, we're going to need it at some point. We're going to use
Yeah,
it at some point. We don't mind taking that in. And
that's
then
insane.
yeah, go. We could talk about that right now, but
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just like, that's ingenious. That I've actually never heard of someone trading bulk supplies for cards. So I don't want to. I mean, keep cooking, please. Resume.
I'd probably say another 30% is
Mhm.
from shows,
Mhm.
selling the dollar box stuff,
Mhm.
selling the individual cards at shows. Um, I'm just like, you know what? Let's if we could pocket some of this cash. I don't like to leave a show with cash. I like to spend that cash by the end of the show and then use that inventory to either trade into something, trade out of something,
Mm.
or list that on eBay. Take all those dollar card money that I get and turn it into one $400 Desmond Ritter auto or a Fields auto that I know that I can move at the next show. Not just go home with money in my pocket because my money can't work for me. I mean, it can, but it's just sitting there. That's $400. It's not turning into anything. My 400 buying a card could sometimes turn into 450.
Nick, this is where there's a big difference between being 22 and 40. You don't have a girlfriend. I mean, like, sorry, I just want to ask, do you have a significant other or
No, I am
okay.
I am single and very happy about it right now. I am very grateful that I could be as selfish as possible right now. That I don't have my people that I love are my mom, my dad, my sister, and
There you
a
go.
couple close friends,
Yeah.
and my dog, and that's all I really got to
Oh, you have a
worry about.
dog.
And I don't even live
Yes.
with those people anymore. So yeah, I could be as selfish as possible right now, which is nice.
The reason I ask is I've set up as a dealer at a show and I'll be gone from, with the driving distance, like let's say from like 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And my wife will ask me, "Hey, how was the show?" I was like, "Oh, it was a lot of fun." I was like, "Well, how much money did you make?" And I'm like, "Uh, as a dealer, you buy cards at margin, like you have a table power." And she's like, "No, but how much money did you make?" And I'm like, "Well, okay, so here's the thing. I didn't make money. I actually ended up but so then she was like, You spent the entire day of a weekend and it was in order to deal to sell cards, but you came back with a card." And I'm just like, "Oh no, like I messed up. I messed up." Like I can't like I want to explain it to her, but it's just so I guess what I'm saying is like that's awesome. Like the concept of not leaving a show with cash is really awesome. I have inadvertently done that, much to chagrin. And then there have been times when I'm like, I have to make something, or like, I mean, of course, you want to make your table fee, right? I want to talk about your local show in a bit here too, but there are definitely real costs and implicit costs when you set up. One of them really being time. Time is money,
Oh
and
yeah.
so, but no, I joke, I wasn't like prying to see, what your relationship status was, but man, I'm telling you, like, enjoy that. I mean, again, it's your livelihood, right? Like me, like I'll definitely I have fun in the hobby, and I'm trying to make some money on the side just to self fund the hobby, but I'm not reliant on the hobby money for rent where you are, right? So even though you say you don't want to leave a show with money, it's not that you're being fiscally irresponsible. It's that you are actually trying to get something liquid that you can turn into rent money in the future, right?
Yes. 100. It's okay. I mean, now I've got a couple other avenues. If that's buying on Facebook, buying on Discord, there's other avenues to buy. But
Hmm.
before I had those avenues, it's like, okay, I go home with this money in my pocket. What am I gonna be able to buy during the week? I've only got this much. I've only got this many cards to list on eBay.
Hmm.
How am I gonna make more money during the week? Like, how am I get? Like, I'm gonna have so much open time. Like, what am
Right.
I gonna do? Just spend those 4 days after I'm done listing, just making content? Like, I don't have enough ideas for that.
Right.
So it's
Right.
just like I need to buy more because I know that I can turn it. I look at my eBay sales every 2 weeks, every week, every month. I compare it month to month, and I'm like,
Mm,
okay, this is where my sales are. This is how much money I took out of the bank, and being
mm,
able to be like, okay, I need to up the inventory. I need to buy more. I
yeah.
can't just sit back and get lazy and sit at home and do nothing. I need to keep
Mm.
buying stuff and have more stuff to list on eBay because it's working.
Wow. Now we're doing real talk. Now we're doing like seller to seller type of talk. But you're like, again, like much more into it than I am. I'm almost like the tagline or the nickname I like to give myself, which is being like a jack of all trades, master of none. So I've done a bunch of little things here and there, and I've dabbled. So having said that, though, eBay, 250 free listings, another 100 at like 30 cents, unless you get like the store and like you pay the monthly fee. Where are you as an eBay seller with that? Do you have a store? Do you have the USR or the TSTR, if you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know what I'm not exactly sure on that. I pay the pro version, which gets me
pro version.
500 listings a month.
Got
I
it.
probably don't even need that right now.
Okay.
Before I was using that, I'm thinking about like lowering my store down to whatever a little bit over 250 is.
Mm-hmm.
But because I have not gone as heavy the last 2 months into the cards under $7.
Got
We
it.
can talk about this, but I have been
Yeah.
sending boatloads of cards to ComC right now just
Ah.
because I'm like, okay, I've got this to do, I've got that to do. Do I really need to spend 4 hours of my day listing $4 cards?
Mm.
And I look at by the end, all right, I just listed $600 worth of cards, but like I feel like crap afterwards because like I'm like I listed all these cards and I didn't even really like there's not even much money that I'm gonna make out of it.
Right. It's a grind.
It makes no sense. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna make as much money,
Yeah.
but just give it to ComC. Let them deal with it. Let them upload it. It takes some time. But
Right.
my thing is all about time, money, happiness,
Right.
leaving myself some time during the day where I could go and I love for all things. So give myself some time to go and do that and not just work all the time. I love to
Right.
work. I enjoy what I do, but give myself some free time as well.
Do you have like a record or like a personal best that you have in your mind of how many you've listed in one day? Because I'll share with you, like in about a maybe 1 hour time, and then like a little bit more for like drafts or uploading the photos. But like, I think about in an hour or two, I've listed up to like 50 listings in one day. But after that, I'm like zapped. I'm like, my brain is just, copy paste Excel, taking pictures. I don't use a scanner. Like I would love to get a Fujitsu scanner, but like that's for someone who's like who wants to master eBay selling. And for me, I'm just taking pictures with my phone, and I'll just have an Excel spreadsheet, and I'll try to like make things as efficient as possible. But like, do you have a number in mind or a range?
I actually hit it last Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
It was a grind of a day. It
Mm-hmm.
was 162 listings in one day.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I will say the good thing about it was a all PSA slab lot that I picked up,
Mm.
and it was all F1 Topps Chrome Sapphire. So it was a
Mm.
lot of I would make if this is a suggestion that I would make to anybody.
Yeah.
If you are listing all Bowman Chrome or all Topps Chrome, just make a template and
Yeah.
then specialize that. Okay, Spencer Strider, Ronald Acuna, like
Mm-hmm.
differentiate. Don't have don't have their name in that one and then have it to delete it every time. Make the
Yeah.
template where you could just write the person's name in, write the number, have rookie card RC already in the title, and
Yeah.
you're good with that. It makes things, it speeds up the process. I've been selling on eBay since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing it a little bit. I picked up things along the way.
Yeah.
Item description automatically just paste there.
Yeah.
Different things that I've got that being able to look up comps a little faster sometimes. And that was my personal best. I know some people that are even faster that use Card Dealer Pro, but
Yeah.
since I stopped dealing with the low end stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I use a Epson V600 scanner, so it's bringing
Mm.
down, scanning the front side, the back side, and it
Mm-hmm.
takes a little bit of time. And like you said, like you could drive yourself crazy if you do it for too long.
Yeah. So you do have a scanner, not an official sponsor, Epson. But what was that number again, though? Epson for my
Epson
own
V600. I'm not a
V600.
sponsor.
Yeah.
I'm learning now. I should have put an affiliate link in my Epson video because I could have made some money off of it.
Yeah.
I'm
And for
I'm
the
I'm I'm
yeah, go
starting to
ahead.
learn these things that you can make money off some of these videos that I make.
Yeah, for
But
the people who are only listening to audio though, Nick has now put on a hat from Epson, and he no, I'm just kidding. Um, I gotta figure out how to get a bigger YouTube audience because right now this is mainly for audio, and so I do like to stream. Right now we're on StreamYard and we're doing I do plan to upload this to YouTube, but mainly so I can clip for Instagram for it. But
oh yeah.
yeah, but like let's talk about that. Like so for me, YouTube, it's like it's just such a grind starting from zero. And for you, for eBay as a seller, like I think I did find your profile. You're over like 2,000 sales with like almost perfect like I was like, who is that 0.3% person who like gave you like some it's probably some person who didn't like the shipping charge or something happened with postage. But my question to you is, you had to start from zero, and did you feel any hesitation when you started from zero to post some of your more better cards in order to build up that seller rating and reputation first? Because I know I have.
We're talking on eBay, correct?
Yes, eBay.
So to basically give a little synopsis on my eBay store, I did not start selling cards full time until 2021. And
Okay.
before that, I was what people would call a flipper. I would
Yeah.
go to Goodwill,
Mm,
Salvation Army,
mm.
um, garage sales, which go check out that new video. Very, very I think it's very
Okay.
informative on some stuff that you could find at garage sales. And if you got some extra time, I think it's a
I'm
fun thing to do.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
um
definitely.
I was really big on I was in this group called Flip Flip. We would buy things from retail stores like Target, Walmart,
Hmm.
that they would have at either a low price or like a TikTok trend that went viral. Some things that just come to my mind. There was one Christmas, I don't know if it's when the show came out, but there was this thing called the Coco Melon JJ doll.
Mm.
Have you ever heard of Coco
Uh,
Melon?
so I've heard of it. I didn't know they had toys, but it makes sense because every show has toys. But no, I have not bought my kids when they were like younger Coco Melon. But yeah, tell me more about it.
Okay, so Coco Melon, like the baby, it was just the baby. And these things were $20 retail,
Uh
and I was selling them on Amazon $60 a piece, on eBay $60 a piece.
huh.
And this is just me straight out of high school or in like right after I dropped out, just driving Target to Target, Walmart to Walmart, sometimes out of the state, looking on the Target app. Okay, they've got 6 available. I got to go to this store. They've got 4 available. I got to go to this store. I would order them online. I would wait until this. I
Hmm.
that was one specific product, but I was also selling Xboxes when those were really popular, PlayStations when
Hmm.
those were really popular, and I've kind of just built up my feedback from that. And then I'd probably say that was probably my first 700 feedback, and the last
Oh,
2 years is probably where I built up the last 1,400 feedback positive wise.
gotcha. That makes total sense. Because I guess when we think about selling on eBay, I mean, yeah, you could sell anything. And I guess I have seen some people, their card seller profiles. They're like, hey, I got some Oakleys sunglasses. Do you want these Ray-Bans? Do you want this random video game cartridge or whatever, right? So makes total sense. So you were selling video games, you were selling Coco Melon. And you did, like acknowledge that you were in for the flips and all that. I have so many questions from the last minute that you just spoke, but one of them is, do you see a lot of like your sell? And these are questions that I didn't have planned ahead of time, but just from the flow of conversation, like, did you have some flipper friends who have like left the hobby because of like the less of an arbitrage opportunity, like in this current market state?
Oh yeah, I've got a couple people that just come to the mind. I've got people that I've just maybe I've seen at a show once in the last year, and I'm like, "Where'd you go?"
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "I just lost so much money on this. I lost so much money on that." And I even
Mm-hmm.
know people that were in because I was at SneakerCon this last weekend. So many
Oh.
people that were in that and just got burned a couple times, and were just like, "Yeah, this just isn't for me. I'm gonna go either go work the 9 to 5 or go and
Mm-hmm.
do." uh, go to school, whatever, and go and do that. And more power to you. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But what I've this is just my personal experience. I enjoy failing and learning from the failure, and not so
Mhm.
much just having things given to me and reading it in a book. Like, reading it in a book's
Mhm.
great. Like, all right, don't do this. But when you put your hand on the fire and you put it on the stove and you're like, damn, that's hot, you
Mhm.
don't do it again. Instead of you
Mhm.
read about it, sometimes you'll do it because you're like, oh, he's wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And then when you
Yeah.
go and do it, you're like, never making that mistake again.
Wow. Wow. I like that a lot. I mean, it is the classic example of the hand on the stove. But and this is a question that I didn't have prepared, and I wasn't, like I'm not looking to interview. Like, this is more of a. I'm trying to make these more of chats, but and not interviews. But of course, I'm the one asking questions because I want to learn more and have the audience learn more too. Um, but you did open the door to kind of like mentioning how you didn't finish school. So if it's okay for me to kind of like ask about that, I did notice in your Instagram that the popular weekend when people were graduating, you had posted about how you weren't graduating, and I thought it was a powerful post. I Instead of me trying to cobble together my memory of it, could you speak to the post that you made and just all your feelings around that moment?
Yeah. So, uh, brief synopsis. When I was 18, I went to Illinois State University for 1 semester. Before I even went there, I didn't even really want to go to school. It was my parents kind of pushing me, like, you're so smart. Like, I've always been really smart, not so much good grades, but like, if when I put the effort in, like, I got A's. I had semesters where I got straight A's or straight A's and B's. But when I don't care is when things hit the fan and things don't go well. And I remember talking to my business teacher my freshman year, and I was just like, I'm not really happy here. Like, I don't like I'm an entrepreneurship major, and I'm
Mhm.
surrounded by all people that all they want to do is just they want to work a 9 to 5 after this. And he's like, well, what's your gut telling you? I'm like, my gut's telling me that I'm not supposed to be here, that I'm supposed to be like going and experimenting and failing in the world.
Mhm.
And he's like, well, then go chase your thing. Like, don't don't stick here just because your mom or your dad want you here. Go and chase your dream. And once they see that your dream is what you wanna go after, and if you put the effort in, they'll be happy for you if they're good parents, and thankfully they are. But I basically went there. I went to 1 semester of a community college. COVID hit, and my dad started to see that I was making some good money through flipping. I was able to put some money to the side. I bought a new car that I ended up totaling last year. Rest in peace to
Oh
that
no.
27 Ford Fusion. But
Oh
hey, we,
no.
we got a nice 2011 Toyota Camry right now, which is fine.
Okay.
But the
Love the
we
details.
exactly we but
Yes.
that next 3 years, I'm just experimenting, seeing what's going on. I'm always living in the moment.
Mhm.
I'm planning for the future, but at the same time, just like trying to fail, trying to experiment, trying to experience, and just like, can I come work for your shop for a day? I've worked for 3 or 4 different shops. Like, is this something that I wanna get into? Do I
Mhm.
wanna stick in flipping sneakers? Do I wanna do this? Experiment in this? Do I want to I was working for I was marketing for a landscaping company at one point. Do I wanna
Mhm.
work in this the rest of my life? And just kinda touching different things. And then this last year when I'm like, "Damn, like, all my friends are graduating this year."
Mhm.
And it was like, I'll be honest, like, there was days when I'm like, well, like, all I've got to really show for is a couple thousand Instagram followers, and that's about it. Like, I don't have a piece of paper that says I do this very, very well, or I'm really, really good at this. And my friend's got a degree that shows, hey, like, I could sit in a classroom and learn and take in knowledge, and I can't do that. Like, what if this doesn't work out? What if
Mhm.
what if what if what if I fail and then 3 years I've got no money and I've got no place to go, and then I then bring myself back together and I'm like, if that does happen in 3 years, I'm 25, I go back to school, I work a BS job for the next 30, 40 years of my life, and if that's what I gotta do, that's what I gotta do, but I would rather 50 years from now be able to turn on YouTube with my grandkids and be like, "You know what? When I was 20 to 25, I chased my dream, and you should too. You shouldn't just do what society tells you to do. Chase your thing, and if you put all your effort into it, it will work out. Maybe it won't, but at least you could go to sleep at night and be like, "You know what? I chased my thing, and I didn't listen to all the outside noise. I did what I wanted to do."
All right, so I guess I got to go quit my job now. My 9 to 5 job. No, that was incredible. I loved that you are really pursuing your dreams, and the passion you have for the cardboard is so prevalent. It's right there. And I mean, I have my mind is swimming, but especially like you're 22 and you have this perspective of like, again, I've talked about coming back into cards as like, jokingly at first, my midlife crisis. You're like literally almost half my age, and here I am learning from you, and you're not even the next generation of the hobby. You are the current generation. You're just the younger part, and here you are, just like I definitely by no means am glamorizing, like the like dropping out of school and all that, but like I give you so much props and credit for doing what you're doing, and taking a huge leap of faith in yourself that I think a lot of people, I mean, I would say including myself, like, I'll just say the word scared to do. So like really, really, like, my hat's off to you, literally and figuratively. My hat's off to you. Like, that's real stuff, man. That is real stuff. I want to say, we are around the 45-minute mark. Did you want to take a moment here to pause and I can edit this last part, or should we just power through?
I'm good. I'm good to go. I don't need no
Wow.
editing.
Okay.
Nice
I
and
almost feel
hard.
like I almost feel like I need a moment, because I feel like what you just said was so moving and inspirational. So I'm looking at my notes. We'll just I won't cut any of this out, but I might make it into a two-parter.